Alright, here we go. We are going with our Cities of Sigmar. And I know, first off, thank you everybody for your membership sponsors and helping support this channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. Can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do. Secondly, I know the video's crooked, and I already edited it. I'm just doing the voiceover, so it is what it is. It's going to stay that way. I know it's crooked. Leave a comment. Make fun of me. I get it. I deserve it. This is a fairly straightforward video. We're going to be mixing some normal, regular Citadel paints with some contrast paints to kind of speed up just a little bit because there's a lot of these guys to do. We are just trying to move through it. If this is your first time with the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow, hit that thumbs up, and without further ado, let's go. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit all of our red areas with some Baal Red. It's a contrast paint, and this is what we're going to do to speed this whole process up. This is going to be the basics of our miniature as we're all going red. Now, there's different ways to paint your Steelhelm Freeguilds. This is just the way I did it. This is kind of like the box art, and this is usually what I like to follow. So we're going to hit all of our red areas with Baal Red. Obviously, beforehand, I primed all the miniatures, did a little zenithal highlighting, black all over, gray, and then white from top to make it a little, nice looking. Now, there is a considerable amount of black on our miniature. We're going to paint those with another contrast, which is Black Legion on the shield, the boots, and the pants. So just follow along and take your time because you have a bunch of your free guilds to do. Next, we're going to take some Morghast Bone on the portion of the shield, that front portion, and we're going to do a little bit of highlighting later, followed by the transfer stickers we'll do at the end of the episode. Pretty basic, but we're going to be doing all of our silver pieces with some Leadbelcher. The basics of all metal for Citadel paints is obviously Leadbelcher. We're going to do this on the helm, all of your helms, your armor pieces, chainmail, all that stuff. So again, take your time, go through with it, put on a book, a episode of your favorite TV show, or some music, and enjoy the paint. Next, we're going to use some Cadian Fleshtone for our flesh areas, which should just be the face. Everything else is something else. Next, for our tabard colors, we're going to use some Jokaero Orange. I mess it up every time. I don't even know that's how you say it. Whatever. It is what it is on all of our tabard areas. And again, we're still on the basing portion of the miniature, so if you make a mistake, not a big deal. You can go back over with the color you just went over. This is not highlighting, so you don't need to be extra careful. Just get your paints on there, and if you need to fix some areas, fix them. And we're going to use this around the edges of our skirt area, I guess you could say. For all of your leather pieces, you're going to go basic again. Some Mournfang Brown. We're not trying to go anything crazy on these things. And when we're doing an army painting, meaning a whole bunch of miniatures, they're the same, I don't go overboard. It just takes way too much time. You want to make it look nice so you can get it on the battlefield, but you don't want to go over where you're trying to win a competition with every single miniature. If you have that kind of time, more power to you. I don't. And I don't anticipate a lot of people do with work and kids and school and whatever else you got going on. We all got stuff going on. For the wood areas of our handles for all of our swords and axes and hammers, I'm using a Gorthor Brown. You can use whatever brown you like. This is just what I went with because it's another basic color. For the straps, using some Agrax hide again, or Dryad Bark, sorry. But you can use Agrax hide, it really doesn't matter. And for all of our gold areas, we're going to use some Retributor Armour. Again, I'm following along with the art and the painted miniatures that were in the book that were provided for our Cities of Sigmar starter set. So I'm just kind of following that, and I make a couple things up here and there, but for the most part, it follows it pretty closely. For our little areas of, I don't even know what they call these things, whatever they are, some little Karak Stone. Then again, we're going to go back over some Leadbelcher on that last little part for our boots. Those are the last of the base colors before we get into the washes. Now, first off, we're going to use a homemade wash for the brown portion on the shield, and we're going to use some Lahmian Medium and some XV88. You want that XV88 to really be thinned down, and we're just going to use that on there and let it dry, as you'll see here in a second. For our first normal wash, we're going to use some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to use this on the shield. We are not going to use this on the red portions of our armor, just the shield. Only doing it on the shield. All of our brown bits, our handle for our hammers, axes, gauntlets, stuff like that. If you wanted to use it, like if you didn't have any Nuln Oil and you wanted to use it on the metal pieces, you could absolutely do that. Obviously you're going to use Nuln Oil that you're going to see here in a second on all of the metal pieces. Obviously, for the skin tone, we're going to use some Reikland Fleshhade, followed by some Fuegan or whatever that word is, orange, for all of our orange areas. Again, we're not painting any of the reds on the armor. We're going to keep that as is because everything else is going to pop out, and you'll see once the miniature is done. Once all of your washes are completely dry, not mostly dry, completely dry, we're going to start with the skin tone. We're going to use a reapplication just on the raised areas of Cadian Fleshtone. Leave all those recesses very dark. Do not attempt to do anything. And this for this specific miniature, I didn't put any eyes in there because I felt like the helm made it look as if it was in the shadows where you could not see the eyes, and I thought it made it look a lot cooler in my opinion, so I kept it as is. But again, hands, face for the Cadian Fleshtone. Next, we're going to use a 50-50 mix of Cadian Fleshtone and Kislev Flesh, 50-50 mix, obviously on a wet palette or whatever you're using to thin it down. And again, we're just going to go over it. I would do one coat of this, let it dry completely, and then just do another thin coat on the second one until we put our final highlight of skin color on there. And lastly, for our skin tone, we're just going to use some pure Kislev Flesh, thinned of course, and we're going to put that onto the raised areas. You want to go overboard with this, a little bit on the cheeks, nose, chin, and the knuckles, and a little bit onto the hands as well. Now, since we used that wash on our orange, we're going to brighten up the raised areas of our orange tabard and the edges as well. You can push it a little bit further in the orange if you want, but I didn't feel like it was necessary, so I just kept it with this base color back onto it. Since we're painting so many miniatures, just saved a little bit of time. For our metal areas that we can get into, including the tops of the helms, we're going to use some Necron Compund on a little bit of a dry brush just to brighten up just a little bit. And then we're going to go over with some Stormhost Silver to really brighten them up for the hard to get areas. Obviously, you don't want to use a dry brush on the areas that are covered or surrounded by other colors. So you just do the swords, metal areas, hammers, axes, stuff like that to get your dry brushing onto. For our brown leather areas, we're going to just do a real quick highlight of our base color, which is Mournfang Brown, just to brighten up just a little bit, and it's going to be very subtle. Again, we got a lot of these to paint. I know I've said it 16 times, I've a broken record, but that just is what it is. Now, I know we based this in Gorthor Brown. I wanted to brighten up just a little bit. We're going to use some XV88. And again, you don't have to do this. You can do reapplication of Gorthor Brown. I just kind of went out on a limb and changed it just a little bit after the wash was completely dry. To brighten up our gold areas, we're going to use some Liberator Gold. You could also do reapplication of Retributor Armour if you wanted to, but I just want to change the color and the contrast just a little bit. Alright, now for the shield. Now, the wash that went in there, you can obviously tell that it was in the recesses. We just want to get onto the raised wooded areas with this Evil Sunz Scarlet. Don't go overboard on this. One thin coat on this. If you wanted to do two on certain areas to brighten up, you can do that as well. Just go over those raised areas. Don't get it into the recesses at all. And then we're going to use some Fire Dragon Bright onto it. And again, we're not going overboard with this. Very thin. You don't want this to be overpowering. And we're just picking out certain areas onto the shield to brighten up just a little bit to give it that nice wooden stained look with some brightness to it. For the inner portion of our shield, or the outer portion, whatever you want to call it, we're going to use some Screaming Skull onto those raised areas, and then we're just going to do a little bit of edge dressing with the edge of our brush. Be careful on this. Again, take your time. It is going to take a couple minutes, several minutes, because you have a lot of them to do. But just do that edging on there. And don't worry if you get a little bit of too much wash from the XV88 on there, because we're going to put those transfer stickers on there, and it makes it look very cool in the end. To brighten up, if you have these on your miniatures, which I'm sure you do, we're going to use some Karak Stone. Just go over the raised areas real quick, including that little button that's at the top of it, and do just a little bit of edge dressing as well on this. Again, using a very, very small brush, we're going to edge dress the edging on our shield with Administratum Grey. Again, this is very light, thinned out paint, and you're just doing a little bit of edge dressing. It just makes that black kind of stand out just a little bit more. It makes it look a little bit worn and torn, that your Freeguild Steelhelms should look like. Moving on to the base, which we've already done prior to our miniature, but you don't have to do it like I do. It's just is what it is. We're going to use some Gorthor Brown on the bottom. Let it dry completely, and then we're going to go over with the Agrax Earthshade to make it look a little bit more rocky and weathered like the ground should be. And just to brighten it up just a little bit, we're going to use some Baneblade Brown under dry brush. Make sure your Agrax Earthshade is 100% dry. Again, by the time you do the first one and get done with the last one, your first one should be dry. Should be, depending on where you live. Now I'm doing the rim of my base in all black. You can do it in brown, which I know a lot of people do. I just like black for some reason, just because I'm weird like that. So do whatever you would like, and then we'll move on to adding some substance and the transfer stickers here in a second. Now you can set up your miniatures any way you want with grass tufts if you want to make it easy, or if you want to put your fake grass down. I'm going to use some PVA glue, and obviously you're going to use this and put our grass on there while the glue is still wet. Now PVA glue does not dry fast, so don't worry about hurrying on this. It doesn't dry in 2 minutes. It takes forever, which is good, and that's what you want. Next, decide which of your miniatures are going to be a part of which faction. There are several, and I would like to sit here and tell you about each one of them, but I don't know enough about them, and I don't know enough to tell you about them or what they're about, so I don't. Cut them out with an X-Acto knife very easily, or carefully I should say. You don't need to be perfect, because the transfer stickers are going to come off once you put water onto them. What you're going to do is you can either dip them in water with a pair of tweezers, or get a brush and load your paintbrush, your large paintbrush, with water, and you're going to easily and very carefully peel that transfer sticker off. It should come off right away once you put the water in there. Now I'm using my fingers, but I will tell you it's 10 times easier to do this if you've got a small pair of tweezers. Pick it up off of the wet paper and then put on. Then you can manipulate it with your tweezers much easier. I didn't know where they were at. Apparently one of my kids, the Mini Nerd Knights, had stolen them, and I had to find them. So yeah. Put on there, obviously make it very straight, or as straight as you can get it. And you can manipulate it with your brush as well. Once you have it in a place you like, little secret, little pro tip here, take some Lahmian Medium, just a little bit, and then put it over it. That's going to seal that transfer sticker into it. I'm sure some people didn't know about that. Learned it on a YouTube video, you know? And that's it. Let it dry, and nothing too crazy, and then you'll turn out to have your whole Freeguild Steelhelms all ready to go like this on a crooked camera, you know what I mean? But they turn out pretty good. It is a process. I understand the process of painting a whole army and how much of a pain it is, or enjoyable, however you are. But I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit longer than normal, 20 minutes, because there's several steps, but I appreciate you watching this entire video and being here the entire way. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Paint down!